Well, today we have a wonderful guest, someone who I've gotten to know, and I'm really thrilled about that. I've actually taken a few of his courses and found them to be extremely beneficial to my life, my relationships, my clients, and my husband, who also took the courses with us. So I want to introduce you to Arnoux Goran. And Arnaud is well, let me tell you a little bit about his background and then he'll tell us more. But he had a really tough childhood. He was raised by two deaf parents who were also crack addicts. And he was the oldest and had to deal with all of the challenges of being the oldest in that kind of situation. He's taken his life to new heights, and he's the inventor of the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself. And I've actually taken that course a couple times, and I have it and use it all the time. I've also taken other courses with him, life transformation, foundations, solutions, all sorts of great stuff that he's developed. And he is the founder of the Total Health Mastery University. So we're going to find out more about that. He's also a wonderful guy, handsome, cute, tells crazy jokes. But we're going to really enjoy, and I know you'll love meeting him, and you can find out more about him. So let me just get started. So Arnaud, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Mari. I appreciate so much you having me on your show.
Yeah, it's so great because I've been in your classes and gotten to know you, and it's such a thrill. Why don't you tell a little bit about your childhood and what happened and what really transformed your life?
Well, I like to say that I grew up in hell. I, I really did. It felt like that going through it. And I knew that someday I would find a way to make my life better. But as a child, I did endure a lot of things that people really shouldn't have to go through: being starved, being screamed at constantly, going without medical and dental care. And it was a lot of abuse on many levels, neglect. My parents, with their drug addiction, were pretty absentee. And in some instances, you might say they were a little bit crazy. And what it did to me was it broke me down to the point that I was very physically sick. And by the time I was 22, I was told I was going to die. And that left me with no choice but to figure out how to heal myself, how to fix my body, how to fix my mind, my spirit. And that was really the beginning of my journey. And once I discovered some of these big breakthrough secrets, I wanted to share them with other people.
And Arnaud, I know when I've been in your class, you've talked about all of the wonderful courses that you've taken as well. Neuro linguistic programming, and you've read, hundreds and hundreds of books. So you've kind of synthesized that into the 7-step program. So tell us a little bit about that. I know about it, and I know I use it. So let's share that.
Well, Merritt, who's my protege and has been working with me for 7 years, she says taking my courses is like reading $100,000 in books, but then having it actually all put in the right order. So it all makes sense and you actually understand what people are saying.
Right. So let's talk about the 7 steps and what it does and why it's so successful.
Well, part of my journey was to figure out how to take the bricks of old emotion or the negative thoughts that are programmed into our unconscious mind out of my system. It was either figure out how to do it or die. And the world says, at least everyone I've spoken to, that it can't be done. You can go and take all the trainings in the world and you'll find nothing that permanently reprograms the unconscious mind and takes out the old bad things. There's things where you can put positive things in that work, but unless you take out the old negative programming, you're going to be stuck in many areas or all the areas of your life. And for me, it was do or die. And so, it was a lot of research. As you said, I took tons of courses, I read books all day, and I pieced together what I call the design of the human mind. Every human mind has a design to it. It's like a computer. And the 7 steps is 7 simple steps to go into the mind and delete the old programming that you don't want in there. And it makes you feel better physically because those thoughts are actually causing emotion. Every thought creates emotion. But it also changes the way you perceive life. It changes the way that life perceives you because you start to be your authentic self instead of being those old things that happened to you or things that were said to you. And you start to peel layers off and you start to see yourself transform.
Yeah, you talk about it like peeling the layers of the onions. And I think it's important that you talked about deleting, because I know, and everybody here who uses a computer knows that if you have a ton of stuff on the computer, it's going to slow down, it's not going to work. And the same thing with our bodies. If we, in our mind, if we don't get rid of the old stuff, it's going to slow us down, it's going to make us depressed, it's going to interfere with us, creating the new. You have to get rid of the old. So I love the idea of deleting the stuff that doesn't work for us, that at some point in our life, that's how we were able to survive, like what you did in your family. But then you can get rid of it so that you can move on. And that's what's really wonderful. So tell us a little bit about, can you kind of go through the steps? How does it work, really?
Absolutely. Let's use the mind as a computer example. So if your mind is a computer, the screen is like your conscious mind, what you're aware of, what you can see, what you can think about in the moment. And then what's underneath the surface is all the programs, all the file folders, and all the stuff that they're full of. And they're all there, and they've been there for a long time. In fact, most of what's in your system has been there since before you were 13. Because between the age of 8 and 13, there's a protection formed on the human mind that doesn't allow you to go in and change any of the files in the unconscious mind. That's true for 95% of people. And that's a direct quote from Dr. John Kapus's book, Success is Not an Accident. So if your mind's like a computer, the first step is to go inside the computer and pick the file folder you want to work on. So let's say you want to work on your love life. So you go into the file folder called Love and Relationships, and you go in there to the area you want to work on. Let's say, arguing with your spouse, or
Being a boyfriend.
creating a new boyfriend, whatever it is you want to work on. You go in that folder, okay? The second step is to start finding out what's in the folder. So you look in the folder and see what files are in there. The third step is to start deleting the files. And the fourth step says, don't stop deleting everything you want to delete until it's all gone. The fifth step is very simple. Now you write the new programs. You write the new beliefs that take the place of the old ones. So if in your computer, you have beliefs like you'll never meet the right person for you, there's no such thing as a good man who is also spiritual and makes money, all kinds of limiting beliefs. If you delete them all and they're all gone, then you write new ones like, I always attract the most beautiful experiences to myself. The perfect person for me is in my life right now, stating everything as if it's already true. Then you've got it all done except for one thing. It's not going to be permanent. Step 6 is where you learn how to, let's say, empty the trash and make the process permanent. And that's one of the things about the 7 steps. It's very unique. As far as I understand, it's the first permanent process that we've ever discovered and have scientific evidence for. And then the 7th step is, after you've restarted your computer, meaning the next day, go back in the file folder and make sure that you didn't miss anything. Make sure you actually deleted all of it. And that's it. Those are the 7 steps.
And you can use them for everything in your life: losing weight, developing a new career, whatever it is. It's helping you to do what you want to do. No one is like programming you. You program yourself, which I think is really important. And, we're sitting here for our radio show on the campus of the University of California, Irvine. And so not only can all of the students use this and all the people driving by use this, but there was a study done right here at the University of California. Tell us about that study, Arnoux.
Well, the first study was done a few years back, and it was actually meant to be done on my health courses. And it was very successful. And I wanted to make sure that the 7 steps was included in that study. And at the end of the study, they found that 100% of the participants in my program said that they erased negative emotions permanently. And that's the big key word. When we put that up on our website, Google said, you can't say that because that's impossible. And we told Google, we have a study. And they said, oh, well, then you can say it, but nobody else can. And the other thing about it was the participants in the study said that they were able to do the 7 steps on their own after the training. And I think that's really important. I think you might have met Eric. Eric was hospitalized many times for his desire to kill himself. He was suicidal. He had over 60 electric shock treatments to his head. He tried everything he could find. And what he said was, after a year of doing the 7 steps every day for 30 minutes, he's no longer suicidal. And what's beautiful about it is it's not an external solution to an internal problem. It's an internal solution to an internal problem. And he was able to do it himself. Now,
Yes.
what's also beautiful is UCI is doing another study. It's actually two parts. The first part was just finished recently and presented at the symposium just this past spring on campus. And that was a survey of the students on campus and how they're doing with their mental health. And the second part will be us introducing the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself to the students at UCI and watching the results as we erase things like procrastination, anxiety, anger, all sorts of things that they're dealing with, social pressure, test anxiety, like everything you can think of. And we're going to actually be able to prove a large plethora of different specific overcoming of challenges versus just negative emotions as a general statement.
Right, right. And, we keep hearing in the news about the soaring rate of suicide, especially in, the ages up to 25 and 30 years old. And I think it's the pressures that are on us, the social pressures that are on us. I mean, it's a stressful life, and especially young people don't always remember that things can get better. And I think that's what the beauty of the 7 steps. And I should say that once you take the 7 steps, you need to practice it. So I've got a partner with Lloyd. I've got partners with my, Beverly, who you know. So it's something that you can keep practicing. You can do it on your own, but it's really helpful. And you have a Facebook group that can support each other and other people who've taken the class. So I think that's what's really neat. We're all in Orange County. I mean, you do it other places too, San Diego, everywhere. But in terms of what I'm used to, which is in Orange County, there's a whole group of people that can reinforce each other and use the steps and do it on your own. But then, it's nice to have somebody to kind of help you sometimes to see things that you don't see,
That's true.
and that's what's really beautiful about that as well. So that's exciting about UCI. I love that you talked that one story. Could you tell a couple other stories of healings that have taken place?
Absolutely. So this week I did a 90-minute interview with one of my clients, and it was just meant to be her sharing her testimonial. I thought it would take 10 minutes, and her story was literally 90 minutes long. She's an author, a very successful author. She used to be the head facilitator for John Gray, Women Are From Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Yeah. So she's been in personal development her whole life. She's done so many things, and she was sharing about how her whole life changed. She used to have IBS. She did all the physical things and it improved a lot, but she still would find herself in the emergency room with IBS attacks. For those that don't know, IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. So imagine your stomach, your tummy hurting like crazy, and then you just can't control things. And she actually had a 1-year party to celebrate not being in the ER for a whole year after taking the 7 steps course 14 months ago. I think it was psychological as well as physical. And she took out the psychological part and boom, 95% better, she said. She got rid of her suicidal tendencies. She said she flirted with the thoughts of suicide all the time. She almost did an assisted suicide with her family because things were so bad for her. That's all gone. She doesn't have those thoughts at all. She has hope for life again. She's excited about living. She's inspired about her life. Her book started selling like crazy, even though she's done nothing new. She simply changed all of her unconscious thoughts about money and the way that she felt about money. And all of a sudden, money flows in easily. She has constant work, and her book sold more copies in the 14 months since the 7 Steps course than it ever did before. And she hasn't changed a thing. And what she said was, and I've tried everything, and this is the one thing that really worked for me. And what's powerful is I know that I have the 7 steps. I don't need to take any other courses. All I needed was your course. And now I have this power. So if something comes up, I know how to deal with it. And you are right, Mari. She actually did work with someone once a week for this last year to give her that ongoing support, keep her consistent on doing the work. Sometimes we think we don't have anything to work on, but we all do have lots of layers. And I'm really proud of Janice for all that she accomplished.
Right. I think, I think the reason we're on this planet is to keep learning. And so if we keep learning, we keep learning stuff about ourselves as well. But, I love the story about your little brother who you talked about in our session. And then I got to meet him at your birthday party. And he, he just thinks his big brother is, you walk on water. And so tell the story about your brother, and you pretty much helped raise him, I'm sure. But what happened with him, with his stuttering?
Oh yeah, well, he's 7 years younger than me, and he came to my course on public speaking. And during that course, you actually have a chance to present in front of a group, and they have a small evaluation form where they give you feedback. And the ultimate goal is to help you to be yourself. And sometimes when people get on stage, they get into fear or they get shut down. They start talking monotone and they're not being themselves like they would normally do with their friends. And the goal is to remove all of that stuff so you can just be yourself. In fact, it's guaranteed in that course, every single person will no longer have stage fright by the end of the course or fear of public speaking. So
Right.
every time my brother gets up for 5 minutes in front of 3 or 4 people, he stutters the entire time. I never saw him stutter before. But once he got in front of a group, it was nothing but stuttering. And if you wrote down what he said, you'd see he's so smart. My brother is a brilliant, brilliant man.
Yeah.
But it was just painful to watch him try to get the words out.
Sure.
So after 3 days of this, I said to Elise, Elise is a former Olympian that came through my program. Her whole story is amazing too. And I said, Elise, test Jonathan for what's causing his stutter. And see, as you get through the intermediate course like you have, you learn how to test people for the root cause of different problems.
Right.
So she tested and found what the root cause of his stutter was. It only took one process with something different than the 7 steps, something called the emotional repolarization technique. The
Yeah.
next day he came back in, he got up in front of the small group that was his group to speak in front of, and there was not a single stutter. And right then Karen Fabro just started crying. And she did, and she said he just deserves to not be in that much pain, and it's just so amazing to see
Yeah.
him. And so now, guess what? He's a professional stand-up comedian in Los Angeles, and he says I wouldn't be able to do this if I hadn't taken your program.
Yeah, he's so cute. He's so cute. And he's so grateful because I talked to him at length. I go, yeah, your brother was telling. He goes, yeah, it was pretty amazing. I'm really excited about it myself. So that's great. Yeah, I don't know. Do you get the jokes from him or does he get the jokes from you?
He writes all of his own original material.
Oh,
Again, he's super smart, and he just did an hour-long show in the Hollywood Fringe Festival and was fantastic.
oh gosh. And yeah. How about relationships? We're sitting here on the campus and people want to have loving relationships. Do you have any stories about loving relationships?
You know what's funny, Mari, is last week, two of my private clients, both of them over 50, emailed me letting me know that they found their dream partner. And that was something we've been working on. And, I train people to create consciously what you want. And neither one of them had ever done that. It's more like dating and you meet people and you like them. And
Yeah.
never before did they actually say, okay, here's what I want in another person. Here's who I
Right.
want to be in the relationship. And they
Yeah.
both did all that stuff. Then it was working through layers and layers and layers with the 7 steps and with the 5 steps. And then in the same week, they both, and this, of course, with lots of clients, but they both emailed me saying, I met this girl or I met this guy, because one's a woman and one's a man. And
They weren't each other though, right?
no, it wasn't each other. One's in Asia, one's in America on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I do most of my private sessions, remotely.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you about Shelly. So when I met Shelly, she was having panic attacks every day. And on the first day of the 7 steps course, she erased her panic and it never came back. Sometimes you have many layers and she only had one. So her panic was gone. She was very happy. So she hired me for private sessions. And all we did was clear things and go through layers about relationships. Her brother and her dad were not very kind to her growing up. And as a result, every man that she dated, including the guy she was married to, in her words, treated her like dirt.
Mm.
And she felt that way in every relationship. So we worked for about 2 months, clearing stuff. And then she worked on her own for about 2 more months. So after about 4 months, she had gotten through all the layers. And she wrote a description of her dream husband. And 2 months after that, she met Tim. And I met Tim as well because they got married in Balboa Park in San Diego, and they invited me to come to their wedding. And when I saw Shelly and she saw me across the room, the tears just started coming down her cheeks. And she hugged me and she said, I wouldn't be getting married if it wasn't for you.
Oh,
And they are such a cute couple. Then Tim's come and gone through all my courses with her and gotten tremendous benefit for himself as well. So it's just amazing to see them together. And, she says it was like the whole world changed around her. Her whole reality changed. Even strangers started being nice to her when they used to not be, because the energy she was putting out shifted. We changed who she was deep in her core. So she was being herself, a powerful, dynamic woman, not someone who was weak and ineffective. And as she became that powerful woman, she attracted a powerful man.
yeah. And she could be her genuine self. And it's so important what you're saying about creating, our mind and our soul creates its own reality. And you talk about that and you help us to see that. And before I met Lloyd, I had been married, and it's a long time ago that we're together. But the thing I did, knowing to create your own reality, is I wrote down exactly what I wanted in a relationship, because I had been married a long time and it was not what I wanted. So I wrote it all down. I prayed about it, and then I let it go. And you just have to be very, very careful, because the only thing I put on there that I got everything I wanted in Lloyd. The only thing that I got that I didn't get real clarity about is I said I wanted someone who had been through a lot of pain so that they would have empathy and compassion. Well, Lloyd had every kind of pain, arthritis, but the good news is now he's also releasing that. But that was you have to be real careful what you ask for, or at least be very specific. But yeah, you can get what you want when you really are clear about what you want, and when you can release those hidden things that are holding you back, or the blockages that you have, which obviously the 7 steps has. So Arnoux, let's talk a little bit about some of the other courses that you have, because I think they're all really wonderful. Let's go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. I have 23 courses. And the reason why there's 23 courses is because every single one of them had to be taught. They had to be made available to the average person. Everyone needs to know the things that are in every single one of these courses. It's my intention that every single hour is life-changing. Every single hour, and there's hundreds of them, is life-changing. There's 4 major tools for personal transformation, for spiritual, emotional, mental growth, development, transformation. The 7 steps, the 5 steps, ERT, and completion. And you've learned those, and that amounts to really 4 plus a 5-day practical, so 5 of the courses. 7 of my courses are for the body, how the body is designed. I said there's a design to the mind. There's also a design to the body. Sometimes people get frustrated by that because they say we're all very individual, and that's true. We are very individual. But every single human body demands that the blood be above 7.2 in its pH balance. Every single human, it's like that. If your blood goes below 7.2, you die. If your blood pH goes above 7.2, you have more energy. That's true for everyone. And there is a design to your body. So there's actually 7 courses. It's more than 15 days of training just on the body and how the body works. I've got courses on being a coach and helping other people. Of course, there's a little bit of training on public speaking. And then becoming your authentic self, which would be your next course, which is based on the Mastery program. And that's the course where we dive much more into the spiritual aspects of our life, the energetic aspects, you might say, learning how to be able to give and receive more love. Such a huge, huge thing to watch someone break through the walls around their heart and actually be able to feel those warm feelings that just weren't there, or being able to introduce themselves to someone in such a way that people will listen to you. That course is really my favorite course to teach, because in 5 days, people will look very, very, very different and feel different. And it's miraculous, really, to see someone be sort of down and then become happy in 5 days.
Yeah.
So there you go. I hope that's enough.
Yeah, no, those are great. And I think what's really wonderful is these are classes that people come to, they're live classes. And what you do that's really cute is you really empower us to get to know everybody and to love everybody in the group. And it builds up a community. And when you're talking about increasing love and increasing, camaraderie and mutual help for each other, I think that's great, because then everybody wants to support the other person. And when somebody comes up and says, I just had this breakthrough, we all clap and we're so excited. So I think we're losing a lot of that with online classes. We're losing that with just staring at our cell phones all the time, our smartphones. And I really like the idea of getting together and practicing these skills with partners. You have us do it with partners. So that's really beautiful too. Now, I know that you have a book that's coming out, and the name of it is How to Change Your Life and Make Your Dreams Come True. So tell us a little bit about what's going to be out in that book.
This is the book that introduces the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself to the world. Tells a little bit about what happened, how it was invented, how it was created, and some case studies on how people have used it to change their life. I think most people don't understand yet how they're manifesting their reality and how to change it. And they spend lots of money. Here's a common story I've heard. I spent over $100,000 on courses and nothing worked until I met you. And they study and study and study and go to all these programs and see all these practitioners, but they never really find out at the core how life is created and how to change it. And so the book is meant to explain that, share that, and hopefully lead the reader to understanding why they're manifesting what they're manifesting, and therefore what to do to actually start changing it. You know, if you are putting out a lot of effort but not in the right direction, it's like pressing on the gas pedal of your car when your
Right.
wheels are in the mud and everything just spins and spins and spins, but you don't actually go anywhere. And to be able to get out of the mud and go where you want to go is what the book is meant to show you how to do. It's great for someone who is young and wants to become more successful. It's also great for someone who has got some experience in life and is ready to really get their hands dirty and understand how to finally make all their dreams come true. I mean, the clients I mentioned to you, getting married and so on, finding their dream sweetheart, they're in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
And you know, you talk about this, which is so important, is that there has to be balance. The body being healthy, the mind being healthy, and the spirit, and having the spiritual, because that is where spiritual beings having a human experience. And we also need to make sure that this physical body is healthy, because if our physical body is unhealthy, if we're eating the wrong foods, if we're not taking the right supplements, all those things cause horrible things to happen. So we just have a little bit of time left. Would you give your website and what we might find there?
Sure. The website is Total Health, like you're healthy, Mastery USA.com. Total Health Mastery USA.com. And you can learn more about my courses. There are some free workshops on there. There's plenty of different radio and TV shows I've been on that you can watch. There's free training on how to have more money, on anti-aging. All of my courses, except for a few, are available on demand worldwide, which means you can log in, buy the 7 Steps course, and start watching it on your phone. You can watch it on your computer. You can watch it on your smart TV. You don't have to wait for the next live course. It doesn't matter if you're in Timbuktu or New Zealand or in Japan or in Germany. You can take almost all my courses remotely. And yes, there is that exciting group aspect where you can get together with people, and it does so much to be in the room with other like-minded, smart people, because that's what happens, is to attract all these amazing people. My mission really is to bring about heaven on earth. And I believe that this education is the first big step in making that a reality. I believe, like you say, you have to deal with the body. If you're not physically healthy, how can you be experiencing a life of constant joy and happiness? It's all part of it. And I believe in a world where we have all of our needs met, where people are healthy, where the earth is clean, and we have peace on earth. And that's what I'm really
Perfect.
all about. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we are out of time. Arno, it's always so wonderful to be with you. And this is fun doing this together. So we will stay in touch, and we're going to have totalhealthmasteryusa.com. We will talk again soon.
Thank you, Mari. Appreciate it so much.